security-driven, don't get too deep on me guys just don't cut it anymore. And yet, the spiritualized version of such men is equally problematic. At such a stage in my own spiritual development, a stage which unfortunately seems to last for decades for some of us, I began to attract a new breed of men, where the same old breed is disguised in a new set of clothing that over time I came to call Zen boyfriends. I use the term Zen loosely here because a man does not have to be a Zen Buddhist to fall into this category. He could be a Tibetan Buddhist, a Sufi, or even a practitioner of some obscure brand of yoga. The more rigid the tradition, the better for this type. What defines a Zen boyfriend is the manner in which he skillfully uses his spiritual ideals and practices as an excuse for his terror of and refusal to be in any type of real relationship with a woman. He is both. Too identified with his balls to become a celibate monk, and too little identified with the wider implications of them to take responsibility for them. The result? A righteous, arrogant, and very intelligent substitute for a real man. Andrew was a perfect example of a Zen boyfriend. He was tall, charming, strikingly attractive. He was creative, well-versed in spiritual scriptures, a great chef, and exceptionally funny. But he couldn't give in to a woman if his life depended on it. The argument was always the same. Why do you set your alarm in the morning if you're not going to get up? It's important to hold the intention to get up early. The hours for meditation are strongest between 3 and 5 in the morning. If it's so strong, then why don't you just do it? Andrew, it would mean a lot to me if you could at least say, good morning when you wake up. I need the energy for my meditation to be consistent with the delta waves that are activated during sleep, and speech interferes with this. Even 2 words, good morning? Yes, even 2 words. How about a hug then? Same thing. Then why doesn't splashing cold water on your face or flushing the toilet screw up the delta waves? I need space. Conversation closed. Oh my God! Men need space. All women know this. And yet, some men need 2 parts space to 1 part intimacy, or even 10 parts space to 2 parts intimacy. But with Andrew and other Zen boyfriends, it was more like 98 parts space to 2 parts intimacy. What they really want to be in a relationship with is a stone goddess, not a woman. It was a lose-lose proposition with Andrew. Exactly why I wanted the relationship to work out so badly in the first place is a worthwhile question. But I'm a woman, and the more a man withdraws into himself, the more a woman chases him bare to draw him back out. Andrew told me our relationship wasn't working because I wasn't spiritual enough. What a fucking blow. Our relationship actually ended over a winter weekend retreat at a rental condo in Lake Tahoe with his mother. I should have had the foresight to realize that putting your girlfriend and your mother in the same place at the same time is exactly what takes a man over the edge. We began to fight over his special Zen knife, as if that's what we were really arguing about. You can use my knife if you're careful. I nodded, continuing to chop walnuts. Well, aren't you going to use it? No. Well, why not? There are so many damn rules attached to your Zen knife that I'd rather use a plastic picnic knife than bear the consequences of touching it wrong. He told me once and for all I simply wasn't enough yin to match his yang. I told him his spirituality was seriously deranged, and the relationship ended there, though I missed him terribly for months. Jake was another perfect example of a Zen boyfriend. He was one of those scared guys who hid behind his spirituality. He was a Zen Buddhist when I met him, but had become a Vedantic non-dualist, I think is what it's called, before the relationship ended, which is as bad, if not worse, in terms of Zen boyfriendness. We met at a narcissistic, eco-retentive, save the earth weekend workshop, man, but that's a different story. As I got off work and headed off the Golden Gate Bridge up the 101 North, I noticed a tall man standing on top of a beaten-up VW van alongside the highway, pounding on a drum. I thought it was Jake, but I couldn't be sure. I got off the Mill Valley exit, turned around, pulled up behind the van, and sure enough, it was Jake. He told me the workshop had inspired him to do a new form of political eco-protest. Once a week, he said, I plan to stand on top of this van alongside the highway and shout out the list of endangered species while pounding on my drum. When I asked him, what do you hope to accomplish by this? He said, I don't know. I'm intuitively guided to do it. I was impressed. He asked me out on a date. That night, we ate vegetarian lasagna, Caesar salad, and hot sauce by candlelight, and then rolled around his balcony for hours while Marvin Gaye played on the stereo. Sausalito danced at our feet. The next morning, he told me he needed space. The next week, however, as we were walking through Rare Woods, he tried to pull his spiritual number on me again. In order to understand his spiritual approach in a sentence, non-dualism is based on the tacit recognition of the oneness of all things. It means that I am not separate from you or any other animate or inanimate being or thing. All is one. However, there is a big difference between being able to spew these words as I just did and living as one who abides eternally in the truth of this reality. Jake, if we're going to hang out, I need to feel like you're really here with me and not so detached all the time. But who is the you that wants to hang out with the me? Okay. I am the me, and you are the you. But there is no difference. We can never be apart or together. It's all the same. You are so full of shit. But who is the me that you think is full of shit? I think it's you who's getting angry. I'm getting angry. Look into my eyes. What do you see? recreate my childhood pattern of not feeling loved by eliciting the same responses in my relationships. I mean, shit, I could have just dated